When someone thinks of Kill la Kill, they often think about the over-the-top action, the comedy, the fan service, the lovable Mako, and most notably, Ryuko and Satsuki's rivalry. In today's video, we'll be talking in-depth about his video game counterpart known as Kill la Kill If. Kill la Kill If is a 3D anime arena fighting game developed by A+ Games and published by Arc System Works. It was released in Japan on July 25th, 2019, and for the rest of the world on July 26th of the same year. To speak personally for a second, upon hearing the announcement for this game, I was ecstatic to hear that one of my favorite anime series of all time was receiving its very own fighting game. Prior to its release, I swiftly pre-ordered it to gain access to the game's demo, which I did proceed to have a wonderful time trying it out, while also at the same time learning to master the 4 characters that were available to me and experiencing the story mode. For the majority of my time playing this demo, my primary aim was to try out its story mode, which only covered the first chapter of Satsuki Story. In contrast to the main series protagonist Ryuko, this time around Satsuki was the one advertised to serve as the role as the main protagonist for this game's narrative. Despite some very odd decisions on the dev's part, which I know didn't go down too well with some, Kill la Kill If very quickly became one of my favorite games ever. Due to my priorities as a player, many things that bothered others didn't lower my experience much, though that is not to say I have no issues at all. If you would like to skip to the gameplay section, a timestamp of that section of the video will be displayed on screen. Now join me as we engage in this introspective about one of my favorite fighting games of all time. The good, the bad, the ugly, and of course the Satsuki. This is UZXCrimsonAvenger, and welcome to my retrospective look at one of anime's greatest fighting games, Kill la Kill If. Why this doesn't play when you boot up the game, I will never understand. This is so good, dude. Ugh. Kill la Kill If Story is an original work by the scenario writer of the anime, Kazuki Nakashima. It begins at the events of episode 8 of the anime with the sudden death runoff. It must be mentioned that this game assumes its player has seen the show prior, as many things begin to look vastly different the moment Ryuko defeats the Elite Four, where this time she beats every single one. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. As first, it needs to be made clear that for the most part, other than Ryuko, everyone in the game is pretty much identical to the anime counterparts, and even in the case of Ryuko, there are only minor differences. Gamagori, Sanagayama, Inuyuda, and Nono still request that they fight Ryuko one-on-one. Ryuko, as in common for her, is pretty confident accepting their challenge with the same amount of gusto as always. And as she does in the anime, Satsuki, watching from her pillar high above them, allows the fight to commence. As I mentioned earlier, Ryuko manages to defeat the Elite Four almost effortlessly, which leaves them disappointed that they have lost to their adversary. Satsuki is slightly surprised that Ryuko survived the encounter with each of them. Ryuko then asks Satsuki if she has any information about her father's murder, to which Satsuki remains silent. Unexpectedly, Ragyo Kiryuin arrives simply designed to see her daughter's face. This sudden appearance doesn't faze Ryuko though, who then issues a challenge to Satsuki. Satsuki accepts Ryuko's challenge. She then transforms into Kami Junketsu, commencing the fight. This battle doesn't last long though, as Ryuko is quickly defeated and retreats from the scene. It's around this point where I like to bring up that if you're playing the demo version of this game, this is where the story mode will end. The Tri-City School's raid trip happens after this, but we don't actually see it play out as we do in the anime, and are only shown that they succeeded in the raid. For those unaware of the anime story, the raid's purpose is to gain control of the other schools while at the same time dragging out the secret organization known as Nudist Beach. However, in this game's story, Nudist Beach has already evacuated long beforehand, a fact which I found quite to be hilarious. With the completion of the raid, Satsuki has earned her mother's trust. Ryuko takes her down to a chamber that holds the primordial life fiber. She then informs Satsuki of her plan to use the life fibers to cover the world. Satsuki is asked if she understands the details of her plan, to which Satsuki replies that she does. We then cut to Honoji Academy where the sports festival takes place. This is where Satsuki's betrayal takes place in the anime and plays out accordingly. After Ryuko's quote-unquote defeat comes the Mind Stitch Elite Four, a fatal three-way with Ryuko and Nui, and various mob fights involving the covers. Unfortunately, Satsuki gets Mind Stitch and the scene fades to black. Satsuki wakes up to see Ryuko crouched in front of her and comes to find that it was Ryuko who freed her and the Elite Four members from Nui's clutches. After Ryuko fights off Nui, Satsuki chases after Ryuko in an attempt to put it into her in the primordial life fiber, only to encounter a Nui clone and another mob of covers, where Satsuki engages in battle and comes out triumphant. Now, with no more obstacles in her way, Satsuki along with the Elite Four and Ryuko team up to take down Ryuko, now adorned with Shinra coquettes, in which you can see it's weaker in this version. They managed to take her out for real this time, and realize that their next obstacle will be the primordial life fiber itself, which takes the form of a Resident Evil looking baby. The life fiber destroys the Elite Four's Goku uniforms and is even capable of decimating Junkets, leaving them utterly powerless. Despite all this, Satsuki refuses to give up, and suddenly the remains of Junkets absorb the surrounding Goku uniforms, achieving the save of a newly evolved form.
Junket Shinzui!
Or Purity Essence,
whichever you prefer.
For a little bit of trivia, this is the first time this form has been seen in action, as it has been around for a long time before the game was made. You can find this in the Art of Kill la Kill Volume 3, which the credit goes to Shigeru Koyama, who is known for the mechanical character design for other Trigger media. With the power of Junket Shinzui, Satsuki strikes down the primordial life fiber, or so we thought, as we find Satsuki waking up to see Ryuko with her scissor blade. What could have possibly happened that led us here? Well, guess we'll just have to wait and see until the next part. With Satsuki remembering Ryuko's last words, she now knows what must be done, so she takes the scissor blade and charges at the primordial life fiber, cutting it down for good, completely severing the thread that binds her to this reality. We then transition to a new scene where Satsuki wakes up. It seems she dreamt the entire thing. Satsuki Story ends with a familiar scene in which Ryuko appears asking Satsuki questions as she reveals her scissor blade, which then plays with the idea that Satsuki has seen it before. Funny thing I want to mention is that back in 2018, if not like longer before this game came around, the mobile game Grand Summers had a collab with Kill la Kill, and within its story, it kind of had like point out this plot detail with the fact of, oh yeah, life fibers can transcend through time and space. Well, that's something I just want to bring out there before we continue on to the next section. Upon completing Satsuki's story, you'll be able to play Ryuko's story from her perspective. A brief recap of Ryuko's motive is that she's out to seek answers for her father's death, and during her crusade, she faces various challenges that lead up to episode 8 of the anime. In the If continuity, events from here are pretty much identical to the previous story, so I won't be wasting time going into too much detail as we proceed. Instead of watching the Elite Four getting destroyed by Ryuko, you can play out those scenes by defeating them yourself. There are a few key moments here that I didn't mention during Satsuki's story, so it's about time I bring them up now. Senketsu's transformations, Senjin and Shippu, are absent during these events, which is a shame because I personally love these forms from a visual and a narrative standpoint, as these forms were able to give Ryuko and Senketsu the edge to take down Gamagori and Nono respectively. After defeating the Elite Four, Senketsu mentions that something feels off, as time feels compressed, and points out to Ryuko that she doesn't look or feel exhausted from the previous battles, possibly being too strong. It is fair to note that he has a point here and proceeds to make the player question what does he truly know, and what is really going on. Senketsu advises Ryuko to retreat as they're being dominated by Satsuki, realizing that she still outclasses them. This got me thinking of a question for you guys. Let me know what you think. Could Ryuko and Senketsu's new abilities defeat Sanagama and Satsuki if Nui didn't intervene back in the anime? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Speaking of Nui, she shows interest in Ryuko and offers to quote-unquote train her to get stronger in order to defeat Satsuki. In order to do so, Ryuko is informed that she must require to quote-unquote give up her humanity. Oh brother. Which she accepts. Senketsu attempts to talk her out of it to no avail. Nui summons the Mega Covers to serve as Ryuko's training dummy, but Ryuko easily destroys it, knowing that she hasn't got much stronger fighting some clothes. Nui offers to fight her instead, only to be interrupted by a call, which we can assume is from Rei Horomaru. The caller informs her to return to Honoji Academy for the festival. Nui then invites Ryuko to come along since it involves Satsuki doing something suspicious. We fast forward to Ryuko heading up to the stage where Satsuki is located. Upon arrival, she interrupts Nui and Satsuki's battle. With rage in her eyes glaring towards Nui, Ryuko notices the other half of the scissor blade and realizes that she's the one who killed her dad. Satsuki attempts to calm Ryuko down before she succumbs to the life fiber's urge to destroy, but to no luck, as Ryuko instead claims that she's going to take down both Nui and Satsuki. Another moment that I must mention here is that this is where Berserk Ryuko is supposed to happen, but due to the game's narrative, we're not going to witness this monstrosity go ham, and also to get it out of the way now, this also means no Junketsu Ryuko, which is highly unfortunate. Ryuko is beaten and gets cut down by Satsuki while losing pieces of Senketsu in the process. Luckily though, she manages to hold on to one of the pieces and passes out. Fortunately, Mako was there, and she treats Ryuko so she can recover back at Hono Town. It's short-lived, however, since Nui appears wanting to finish the job since she's now powerless. Until, unexpectedly, Shiro Irori appears with a briefcase containing remaining pieces of Senketsu. With Senketsu fully restored, Ryuko fights off Nui, who we later find out was one of her clones. After that, Irori reveals that he's come to ask for Ryuko's help and wanted to save Satsuki. Ryuko hesitates, believing it to be a trap, but since Iori brought Senketsu pieces back to her, she agrees to help him out, to which Iori responds with gratitude to her. This will explain some of the parts I left out in Satsuki Story, so yeah, I did that for a good reason. Later at the stadium, they find Satsuki and Elite Four under the effects of mind stitching. In order to free them, Ryuko has to fight them all, in which she succeeds. She has no time to rest, however, as Nui appears again and is not alone. She summons her clones just to halt the group's progression. With the temporarily acquired Bakuzan,
Baka what?
Ryuko is able to fend off Nui's onslaught and disarms her. Literally. Nui then runs off with Ragyo, giving the group time to take a breather. Ryuko returns Bakuzan to Satsuki, and she now has both halves of the scissor blade, and is ready to take down Nui once and for all. Satsuki gives a brief explanation of her plans, which were covered in her section. Ryuko then goes off to the palace, with Satsuki and the Elite Four following after her. With the Elite Four joining Ryuko, they take down another Nui clone and some mega covers. After the battle, Mako approaches Ryuko, to which she attacks her only to be Nui in disguise. Don't worry guys, I guarantee you this is the final Nui encounter. Tired of the games, tired of the tricks, Ryuko fights Nui one last time. And praise the Lord, Ryuko takes her down. In her dying words, Nui informs Ryuko that Satsuki was the one who told Nui to kill her dad, in which she brushes it off, believing Satsuki has her reasons, after which Nui finally dies. Before heading off to help Satsuki and the others, Ryuko checks on Mako to see that she's fine. Ryuko teams up with Satsuki and her elites as they defeat Ragyo. Before she dies, Ragyo points out to Ryuko that she is the singularity, to which Satsuki asks what does she mean by those words. This is a crucial moment to the game's narrative as Ragyo explains why it is the world the way it is.
You still don't understand. You're such a fool, Satsuki. This world is the manifestation of the future you desire. Your delusion.
What are you saying?
The life fibers can interfere with reality. Junketsu took your dreams and made them tangible. That is the distorted world we see now. Since my life fibers are much more powerful than Junketsu's, I could have taken this planet over. Then, I could have enslaved humanity and begun the process of turning it into a cocoon sphere. Yes, I could have. If it wasn't for your existence, Ryuko Matoi.
Yeah. Are you gonna die already or what?
None of this matters. This is nothing but a distorted world born from Satsuki's mind. You can resist to your heart's content. It won't change a thing.
This world is my dream?
After this new lore dump, Satsuki is left immobile from receiving this new information. The primordial life fiber takes on its Resident Evil baby form and attempts to attack Satsuki while her guard is down, but fails as the elites protect her. And as they are doing so, Ryuko then charges into combat against the primordial life fiber. However, she is able to take it down even with the redness scissors. The primordial life fiber then strikes Satsuki with its threads. Satsuki then sees visions of the anime that have yet to happen in this current reality. Some more new information is given to us as Senketsu has been pretty much able to put everything together.
That was Satsuki before, but I thought Junketsu got shredded.
That proves it then. The flow of time has been distorted.
Wait, didn't you say that before?
I did, and now I can confirm it. Satsuki Kiryuin is the trigger. The flow of time is being compressed according to her will.
Yeah, no idea what you're saying.
It's hard to believe, but what Ragyo Kiriyuin said was true. This world is Satsuki's delusion.
You mean everything here? All this? It's her dream? That's crazy!
It's not crazy! I have delusions all the time! In fact, before you came to Honoji Academy, the only friends I had were the ones in my head! I bet Lady Satsuki just wanted some friends too! And now, she's got a whole bunch of naked friends!
Well, even if all this crazy shit's going on, I still gotta help her.
But you see what's going on. The primordial life fiber is powerful. We can't just rush in without a plan.
Yeah, I know. Let's head back down where there's less commotion and come up with one.
Don't worry, we'll talk about the dream thing later, I promise. Even with all this crazy stuff going on, Ryuko is still willing to help Satsuki and heads back to the surface to witness Satsuki battling the primordial life fiber. Fighting it has made her become unconscious, in which she continues to fight it off with just pure instinct alone. Unfortunately, this is a problem. Well, I say it's a problem because of the fact that we're in a dream world. It's a bit confusing, but we'll talk about it later. So in short of the long explanation from Iori, Ryuko has to wake Satsuki up and have her end this world she created. Thanks to Senketsu be able to absorb life fibers throughout time and space, just like the primordial life fiber, he and Ryuko were able to achieve their final form. With this new power, they take on Satsuki and Junketsu Shizui in an epic battle that shakes the world around them. Okay, I'm exaggerating just a bit, but the boss fight was somewhat epic to play, but at the same time it was annoying, since if you play this for the first time around, it's gonna be annoying. Actually, no, it is annoying because of it's so RNG, and the fact you have to kill her with the insta kill. But anyway, we're almost done. Back to this story. With the final sending so sheets, Ryuko is able to shred Junketsu Shizui off of Satsuki, which then leads us to what happens to the end of Satsuki Story. Ryuko's story ends back in the anime's reality at the beginning of episode 4, having no memory of what occurred in the dream world. Yeah, I can say this without a doubt that this story is not perfect, not by a long shot. To me personally, the story is pretty decent. It knows what kind of story it wants to tell, and doesn't shy away from the fact that it borrows it was all a dream narrative. Like, I get it, having that narrative told to you after witnessing some interesting and cool concepts, you'd think it'd be a waste of time. Life Fibers being able to transcend through time and space gave us a Satsuki and Ryuko that are more powerful than their anime counterparts, something to note for those power scalers out there. It's not that bad by any means. The only thing I can say overall is that the Kill Kill If story is that it could have been worse. It honestly could have been worse. With the story mode not complete, the other game modes will be available for use. These are Versus, Practice, and Gallery, which we'll cover near the end. Versus contains Free Battle, an offline mode where you can play with your friends. Choose between 6 stages and 12 playable characters. Yes, 12. Ryuko, Satsuki, Gamagori, Sanagama, Iyamuda, Nonon, Ragyo, Nui, Mako, DTR, Dual Ryuko, and Dual Satsuki. Each one has their own unique movesets and playstyles. No character within this roster plays the same. Player Match, an online mode where you'll be able to make rooms to fight with other players and change stages, along with room and handicap settings. It also has little messages that you can use to talk to players who don't have mics, or if you don't have a mic of your own. Check it out.
I'm taking a bath. Better not peek.
It's getting quite late. I'm going to bed. It was truly exciting to fight you.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's recital.
And rank matches. This is where you can compete with other players to reach the top. I myself may not be at the top, but hey, at least I'm still in the top 20s, baby. Let's get it. Practice mode contains Tutorial. You'll be able to play this during the game's story mode to learn the game's basic mechanics. Pretty good spot to have it actually, since it can't be skipped. It can be revisited if desired, but honestly you wouldn't need to. Once you're done with the story, there's no need for this, unless you'd like to return to your roots. Training mode is one of the worst training modes I've ever seen in my life. One of the things in this game I cannot defend. Like for example, in other fighting games, you're able to set certain commands that are able to make the AI do something. That way you can practice certain moves, combos, or strategize in some form or fashion. Within Kill la Kill If, it's very strict, and there's a high limit to what you can do. In other words, say I want a character to block. They'll block. but they're not gonna stay blocking, which is a damn shame, because it's just gonna hinder what kind of block strings I can do with the character I'm trying to play with. Survival challenge is self-explanatory. Fight a lot of characters until you lose, with each fight becoming harder the further you go. You'll also run into two of the story mode only characters, that being Life Fiber Arm Nui and Ryuko Story. And last but not least, you have the covers challenge. This is a special mode where you fight the covers in the mob style of fights, where you can either try to see how fast you can beat them, or how many you can beat. Something to try out as your extra content, though I'm not gonna lie, it can get boring after a while, because there's pretty much nothing else to do after those, unless you just want to try to compete to see how fast you can get this stuff done. When you think of anime arena fighters, what's the first game that comes to mind? The Naruto, My Hero, or the Budokai Tenkaichi games? Oh, don't forget about Jump! And for the in-depth of a traditional anime fighter, what comes to mind? Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, or Under Night? What about Grand Blue? Killer Kill has the best of both worlds, and in this section of the video, we're going to cover the gameplay with the simple yet deep mechanics. This game has basic actions, that being your normal attacks, which consist of your close range, long range, and break attacks. You also have your secondary actions, which include guarding, dashing, evading, side attacks, anti-airs, and charge long range attacks. With knowledge of all these actions at your disposal, the heated battle of offense and defense cannot commence. I will be using notations here, but don't worry, as for this game, it will be simple to follow. I have the game on all platforms available, but I'll be using the PS4 controller for this short segment. A, B, C, and D will be your face buttons. A for your close range, B for your long range, C for your break, and D for jump. 2-8 will be your up and down motions, 4-6 for your left and right, and 5 for neutral, meaning no motion is needed. So for example, if my opponent were to dodge my attacks, I would input 4-6-A, which will allow me to punish them. They could have avoided this by blocking. So say that they did block it and your attacks aren't getting through, what can you do? There aren't any grabs or throws in this game, so your only option is to use your 5C, your break attack. But in this case, it is what is called the guard break. As the name implies, this move breaks the opponent's guard as sense of flying, allowing you to chase after them for another combo. Sometimes new players will appear to be under the impression that excessive dashing is not punishable. Dashing can be cancelled, thus leaving you with a multitude of other options to choose from. I'll use Storm 4 for example. Yes, you'll be able to stop your chakra dashing by inputting the button which halts your movement, but it's not always the case. When you dash, you just fully committed to it unless you do movements to fake your opponent out. In this game, you have to decide when to fully commit or when to fake out your opponent. Some characters are able to dash cancel out of their combos in case their opponent opts out to use their counter burst to escape. Speaking of which, having meter in Kill Kill If is the essential feature that can make a player either have the advantage or struggle to survive. Most of the time I tend to see some players spend their meter as soon as they get it. Having the health advantage is beneficial, but I would consider saving meter for the long run. If you spend all that meter on your super, you won't gain any for a while. Since I'm on that topic, here's something you should know regarding the meter lock. There's a set time on how long it will be before you can gain meter again. From supers, you won't gain any for 8 seconds, 6 seconds if you Valor Burst on Whiff, and 16 seconds from Counter Burst. Inuyamura, Nono, and DTR have supers and abilities that are able to drain and meter lock you for a certain amount of time. You will be defenseless to high damage combos and insta kill attempts. There are 3 ways of gaining meter. You can block some of your opponent's attacks and your combos with 4-6-A, or you can just select Provoke during Bloody Valor. Characters like Nono, Gamagori, and Yamuda have options that will allow them to gain meter faster. Valor Burst is one of the most important mechanics in Kill Kill. You can use it to go into Bloody Valor to turn the tide of battle, or use it to escape your opponent's attacks. By Valor Bursting, you can still deal damage to your opponent but it won't fully knock them out. Did you know you can escape from being Valor Bursted by your opponent? In fact, you can. Instead of taking the burst head on for your opponent to have the advantage, you can counter burst your opponent's Valor Burst by spending 50% of your meter. Assuming that you have it safe for this occasion, you can do your own Valor Burst to punish your opponent by doing a raw Valor Burst as well. Keep in mind that every character in this game can punish you for doing burst attempts, but don't let this discourage you from defending yourself. My advice to you is that know when to burst and not to get baited. Once you Valor Burst your opponent, you'll initiate Bloody Valor, this game's rock paper scissors mechanic. You have the option to Provoke, which is scissors, Mock is paper, and Taunt, which is rock. Each one serves a purpose for each time you win. As I mentioned earlier, Provoke gives you more meter, while the others, like Mock, gives you more health, and Taunt deals damage, but won't knock out your opponent. Keep that in mind. Each one's beneficial to the player, but it's also the opponent's job to stop you from getting that far. With every win, the player character gains a power level. Each level gives a special perk to that character. We'll use Satsuki as an example here. In level 1, her normal moves slightly change and allows her to deal more damage. Level 2 enhances her close range special move, and level 3 gives her access to her insta-kill. This last one applies to every character in the game. There's a lot you can learn from this simple game. There'll be things you'll discover that you haven't even seen before, which is the fun and best part about it. Play with some friends, play with the AI, and I guarantee you'll have a great time. We're now approaching the end of the video. This is where I cover the rest of the game, so let's go through it and see what it contains. The gallery mode contains Digital Figure, a mode where you can use the in-game currency to buy and take the models of the characters to have them act in your own scenarios via dioramas, similar to Guilty Gear Strive, for example. Replay list. You can view your replays of your previous battles here. The camera can be moved to view certain angles within the replay to mess around with. I recommend you to use your replays to study your opponent's playstyle and learn your matchups. It's also a great way to learn from your own mistakes as well. That way you can improve in time for your next battles. The anime, you're not really viewing the actual anime here, it's actually just the cutscenes from the story mode. Sound test, here you can listen to the game's soundtrack. Some songs from the anime are here as well. I won't play any of them here since the songs are copyrighted. But if you guys would like to check out the character themes for this game, I'll leave a playlist on the top right or in the description below. The glossary is where you can learn the terminology, locations, and characters from the world of Kill la Kill. And lastly, the voice library. Voice lines from the game can be listened to here. You can also listen to the cast members leaving special messages in both English and Japanese. The highly unfortunate part is that there are no subtitles for the Japanese cast. Like, come on. These people are probably saying something cool or funny, but it's meaningless if you can't understand what they're saying. But I picked out some ones that I personally enjoyed, so here you go and enjoy.
This world can be a dangerous place, my friend. Harsh, unloving, cold. But that doesn't make your shrinkage define you. Let your appendages flap flaccidly in the breeze of freedom. Embrace that liberty. And let the world around you see the majesty you have on display. No one can take that away from you. Be free, be flowing, and by God, be nude!
Hi y'all, this is Keiji Tang, voice of Tsumugu. There are 2 things you need to know. 1, thank you so much for picking up the game. 2, pants are overrated.
I've only got 4 words for you guys. And those would be, don't lose your way.
So here's a little pep talk for all you people living in this cruel and unfortunate world. That if you study hard, eat your leafy greens, follow your dreams and play this game, get good, get real good, get super good, maybe you, too, can someday live life like the characters in this game. And by that I mean stand up tall, unafraid, strip off your clothes and fight high school students. Live your dreams.
Feels like a pretty weird timeline we're in right now, but, you know, it keeps changing, it keeps revolving, so just keep moving and things usually kind of turn around in the end.
確かに現代は過酷だ。だが、前に進み続けろ!
You need a pep talk from me? Get up, get out there, and do the next thing that you need to get done. Don't worry about your ambitions. Just know you will accomplish them. 1 step at a time. Every vision takes planning. Now go out there and rule your world.
If you have made it this far into the video, thank you so very much for willingly taking the time out your day to watch it. As you can tell, this game really means the whole world to me, and making this type of video for it is essentially my way of saying goodbye to it for the channel. This was planned out as soon as I completed the anime references. Life got in the way, so a lot of things got held back or took time to finish, like this video you're watching now. This game gave me opportunities like no other fighting game has done as much as Kill la Kill. It's a game that I can brag about and say that I'm really good at. I got a first-hand experience of what the FGC is like, and I was able to participate in multiple online tournaments where I met those who I still chat with to this day. I've retired from the competitive scene after some complaints regarding a certain character I play, but that's a story I don't believe will be told since this is technically my legit last Kill la Kill If video. All I can say is that being competitive in any other fighting game, I'm not totally sure because pretty much that competitive drive is gone. Kill la Kill If was the only game that managed to give me that kind of drive to even compete in fighting games. All the other fighting games that came out as of recent, I don't see myself competing in any tournaments for them. I still play this game from time to time with some friends and acquaintances. Both groups enjoy and have fun despite the skill gap. They don't know it, but it definitely puts a smile on my face whenever they want to play. You guys know who you are, and I'm willing to play whenever you're up for it. As far as what I'll do for the channel, that's something you all will have to stick around if you choose to do so. Well, I won't waste any more of anyone's time. Once again, thank you so very much for watching this video. This is UZXCrimsonAvenger, and don't lose your way. Peace. And sayonara, Killer Kill If.